Hello, everyone. Welcome to Royal Black and Elite. I'm Lady TrenettWilson. Happy New Year, everyone. I pray 2026 brings you all of your dreams, all the changes you want to see in your life, and everything that you deserve. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. Today's lecture, we're going to talk about William Tucker. He is America's first recorded African American. The reason I did him as the first or the last video of the year, the first person born here in America, is because I want to remind us that we have given so much to this country and we have a history here. And I want to celebrate who we are as a people. This is really what my channel is all about. But oftentimes we don't know where it all began. And I thought this would be a great lesson as we go into the new year, as we remember who we are. As we're looking at the news and other people getting millions of dollars, billions of dollars who've not been here, but yet we've been here from the very beginning. We've got to be reminded about our history. So I'm so excited to introduce you to William Tucker, for those who do not know him, and maybe reintroduce him to some of you who do. Now, one reason we don't know who really is the first Black person born in America is because they didn't keep records. In early colonial America, record keeping was very selective. The English colonists, they documented what they believed had legal, religious, or economic value. So, of course, birth of the enslaved Africans, that rarely met that bill. Most African children, they weren't even given a surname. They had the surname of the person who owned them. They were not recorded. They weren't recorded in parish registries, and they were counted only later as labor or property. So that means there could have been hundreds or even thousands of children born before William Tucker, but he is the first name that was entered in official records. Now, that was not the rule, it was the exception, and it was an exception because his parents were indentured slaves. So they were enslaved people, but they were indentured workers. So it meant they had an ending to their bondage. So because of this, he was able to be baptized in the Anglican Church in the year that he was born, 1624, in Virginia, Jamestown, Virginia. Now, this was the only reason we know his name. It's sad. It truly is sad. But this was the establishment of that we were actually people and that we had to be counted in the number. So that's where it all began. Now, what his baptism meant was that either they went through a religious conversion, they were under social control, or it was documentation of ownership or status. So while some early Africans hoped that Christian baptism might earn them freedom, a lot of times it didn't, because as time went on, shadow slavery took over. So slavery, when it first began, was indentured servitude, and then it went into, now you're going to work for me for free. So in shadow slavery. So that's kind of the progression of it. So he was born kind of like at a turning point when freedom and slavery were still being legally defined. But by the mid 1600s, we know what happened. Laws tied enslavement to race. Children inherited the legal status of their mothers, and African families lost all legal standing. So William Tucker likely lived his life under these restrictions and as a slave person. Even if it was not enslaved at birth, records suggest that the Tucker family eventually were enslaved by they they were enslaved by someone. They were bought. Now, what's sad also is there are no surviving records of his life after his birth. Simply nothing. I mean, it just goes quiet. Now, the only way that you could get recorded was if there was a transaction that occurred. Now, that transaction that occurred was when the Tucker family went into slavery. So that's the only other record they have of him. If there was a punishment imposed, so evidently he kept his nose clean and our property was transferred. So he evidently was not sold off of the plantation that he was in. So he was likely either in agriculture or domestic service. That's pretty much what all slaves did most of the time in Virginia at that time. But details just didn't exist. And there is no recorded record of his death. So we don't know how he passed away. But why I did this video and why I thought it was important is to remind us that we were brought here, as we know, and we were born here. This is our birthplace. William was the first one who had a record of it, William Tucker. So as we look at who we are as a people and we look at 2026, we need to position ourselves in order to be able to obtain the things that are rightfully ours, that have been rightfully ours since history began. We built this country. There may be some people who, say, no, we didn't, but we did. How can you say these people have been in slavery since 1624 and say we didn't build this country? The very roads that many people walk on, especially in the South, we know up north, slavery was not as prominent, but it was there. And even after slavery, racism was there. So, how can we look forward in 2026 as Black people, as a Black community, as we look up on the landscape of what's going on in the world? I think we need to position ourselves, especially as we look at the fraud that is taking place in different parts of the country. How can we position ourselves with the Small Business Administration to position ourselves in home health care, transportation? Me and a partner are getting ready to purchase and rent some homes in order to be able to place elderly people there so that they can be safe and clean and get the help that they need. We're looking for veterans. We're looking for grandparents who are too old to live by themselves and need some place to stay. That's what we're looking for to put in our homes. We're not looking to bilk the American taxpayer. We're looking to help our communities. And that's what I want to say. Look around you. How can you be a help to your community? It's not enough to be mad and just say, I'm a fight, and still align yourself with people who have put us in this position. We must align ourselves with people who are speaking what we want to see happen. What do we want to see happen? Again, economic independence, leaning on the Small Business Association, leaning on the government to make room for FBAs, Foundational Black Americans, people who were born here, people who were lineages of William Tucker, who were born in this country, who have given so much to this country, and whose lineage is tied back to the people who built this country. That's just the way I feel. Tell me how you feel below. Do you think it's wrong to want to see us positioned better? Because see, that's the thing. Look at my reparations video. There are other people who came from the Jewish people to the Indian people to even the Asian people. They lock up an industry. Tell me down below, what industry do Black people own? And I'll leave it there. I hope that you have a wonderful 2026. I hope that you position yourself in order to be able to get the windfall of money that's going to come forth in 2026 for businesses, for entrepreneurs, for people with a vision to help others. I thank you for sticking with me all of 2025. You are the best audience ever. And we're going to continue to learn about the elite Black people in history and position ourselves for what's coming next. I thank you for your support, and I'll see you on another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. Happy New Year.